Hey, what up guys? Welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to talk about the difference between coins, tokens, protocols, and blockchains. If you're new to cryptocurrencies, these words might confuse you. You might not know the difference between a coin and a token, blockchain and a protocol. And I received a very good email from one of the viewers about this exact topic, and we are going to explain the difference between these concepts today, guys. Before we start, I want to invite you to go to any podcasting platform, for example, iTunes or any other podcasting platform, and search for Invest Like a Boss podcast. So find Invest Like a Boss podcast, and you will see that the latest episode 71 is with me, and we talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, cryptocurrency. So if you have a spare hour, maybe you want to go to the gym, maybe you are on a walk, maybe you are in your car and you just want something to listen to about cryptocurrencies, you're very welcome to listen to episode 71 of the Invest Like a Boss podcast. And as you can see, this episode is extremely popular. Many people want to learn about Bitcoin, Ethereum, cryptocurrencies. So you are very welcome to go to Invest Like a Boss podcast and have a listen yourself. Also, guys, you are very welcome to use the video summaries category on the CryptoPub, which is our current family home, our current community home. We moved from Slack to the CryptoPub, and so if you learn something from my channel or from any other channels and you feel that you will actually gain something from summarizing it, your knowledge, feel free to just go here, create a new topic and use the video summaries category and just create a title and write your summary of what you just learned, because I think it can be good for you. So if you yourself think that this will aid you in your learning and you want to share your new knowledge with the community, you are very welcome to, but you don't have to if you think that you learn better by just listening and you don't need to write down. That being said, guys, let's get into the main topic of today. So as I said, I received an email and the person writes the following. First of all, I love your YouTube channel. Thank you very much, my friend. It's solid background information and not just some channel to pump your coins. For me personally, I think I'm in the phase where I become more knowledgeable and thus have more questions. Very interesting, very interesting. In my opinion, my questions are about basic stuff, but somehow I have been quite unsuccessful in getting the answers. Let's get into it. My basic question is, what is the difference and the relation between blockchain protocols and tokens? Let me show you what I think it looks like. And the funny thing is, this person asks me this question and I think he or she already knows the answer, because to me this looks right, and we will discuss more about what this actually means. I know that this chart might look confusing to you. So there is the blockchain, which is the general technology, and protocols based on the blockchain, and finally you have tokens for various applications. Yes, that is true. I once read an article on Medium saying that you should invest in the house and not individual players. In this example, he was talking about Ethereum being the house and all ERC20 tokens the players. Even though I get his idea, I'm a bit confused on who is the house and who are the players. Okay, interesting. So this is a good question. Let's just highlight it. I'm confused on who is the house and who are the players. So Ethereum is the house with lots of players. Neo is the house with potential players. But what about IOTA and Ripple? Interesting. Since you're open to requests from your fans, I don't know if I have fans. That is flattering though. May I request an overall video where you explain the difference and relation between blockchain, protocol, and tokens combined with some examples. Many thanks for taking the time reading this, and seeing this video would be amazing. No problem, my friend. I'm glad to make a video because I think it's a very important topic, very interesting one, and I think many people are wondering. So you are correct in your chart. So if we start from the bottom, from the technology, most of the cryptocurrencies are based on a blockchain foundation. Now, we have some exceptions, for example, IOTA, but let's just ignore that and say that all cryptocurrencies are based on some kind of blockchain foundation. And so on top of that, on top of this idea of a blockchain, meaning that we link blocks of information together cryptographically, and if you change something in any block in the past, it would invalidate all of the links. So this is the main idea, right? So on top of that, using this idea, we can start creating different protocols. And you might be asking, what is a protocol, Ivan? A protocol is basically a way of communication. We have, for example, in Bitcoin, a set of rules that the nodes communicate by, a set of rules that the nodes use in order to be a part of the network. So that is the protocol. Basically, how do we communicate with each other? How does an Ethereum node communicate with another Ethereum node and all of these other Ethereum nodes? How do we do that? So we have the protocol describing the way we should communicate with each other. On an Ethereum network, we have one protocol. On the Bitcoin network, you have another protocol. So protocol is just a way of communicating, and the different rules all nodes have to follow in order to be a part of the network. And so protocols are built on top of the technology, as you have outlined in your picture already. So we have the idea of a blockchain, and then on top of that, we build our rules that the nodes will play by and communicate by. So that is how technology is a foundation, and on top of that we build our protocols. And so, for example, a protocol is Ethereum, although you misspelled the name. Ethereum is a protocol, yes. Bitcoin is a protocol, yes. NEO is a protocol. And I'm sure you've heard about other protocols. For example, TCP is a protocol. Or BitTorrent is also a protocol. It's a way of orchestrating a network. So, for example, if you're downloading a file from the internet using a torrent file, and you open up your torrent client, it needs to find other peers. It needs to get the information from different peers, and also in BitTorrent, as you know, it's all decentralized. There's no central entity telling everyone what they should do. It's all decentralized, and the rules that this network plays by, the rules that these nodes communicate with each other by, that is the protocol. So, for example, if I'm a node, I'm expecting a certain format, I'm expecting data in a certain format from other peers, and this is also a part of the protocol. So I'm trying to give you different examples of what a protocol is. And so in Bitcoin, for example, if I'm a node, I have certain expectations that other nodes have on me. I need to communicate in a certain way. I need to communicate in a certain format. I need to follow all these rules. And I have expectations on other nodes in the network. And so this is what we mean by a protocol. It's common rules, common communication rules that the network plays by which the nodes in the network play by. And in cryptocurrencies, these protocols are based on the blockchain technology. In order to make this orchestration work, and in order to keep an open, transparent ledger, we have built it on a blockchain idea. Now, this doesn't mean, so your chart, your picture might be confusing in that sense that people might think that the same blockchain is used in Ethereum, and the same blockchain is used in Bitcoin, and the same blockchain is used in NEO. That is not the case. Blockchain is just an idea. Ethereum has its own blockchain. So all of these nodes, they pass their own blockchain among each other. And Bitcoin has its own blockchain. And all of these nodes in the Bitcoin network, they pass this blockchain among each other. And the same with NEO. So I would agree with this drawing in that sense that blockchain is an idea that different protocols are built upon, but they all have their own blockchain. And hopefully, guys, you now understand what the protocol is. You know some examples of protocols, for example, TCP, for example, HTTP, for example, BitTorrent, and frankly, we can invent our own protocol right here and right now. For example, we might have some strange protocol of exchanging files where you expect to see a certain combination of bits before you get the file, and then you expect to see a certain combination of bits in order to close the connection. I mean, a protocol can be anything. In the university, we had to invent our own protocols just to be able to communicate with our other peers, which follow the same strange protocol. So a protocol is really a set of rules. We can invent our own rules. Ethereum has its own rules, Bitcoin has its own rules, NEO has its own rules, BitTorrent has its own rules, and each of these networks, the nodes in the network follow these rules, and that is the protocol. I hope I'm very clear, guys. All right, now that we understand what protocols do, we can start talking about coins. So protocols define coins. This might sound confusing, but let me tell you what I mean. So in a network, for example, in an Ethereum network or in the Bitcoin network, we have these nodes and they communicate with each other. And they pass around this data structure, this database that we call the blockchain. And they share it with each other. If a new node comes online, that node will get the database, the blockchain, the data structure, whatever you want to call it, from other nodes. And so this database, which is the blockchain, contains different entries. Basically, how much each address owns, how many coins each address has. And so if I have an address and that address has 10 in this database, it means that this address owns 10 Bitcoin or Ethereum. So as you can see, by passing around this database of entries, the protocol defines the coins, because this database is passed around by the rules defined in the protocol. And because as we mentioned, all of these nodes follow the rules of the protocol defines how these nodes communicate with each other. And in the protocol, it says, guys, you should share blockchain with each other. And so that is what I mean by the protocol defines the coin, because the idea of a coin, the concept of the coin comes from the fact that we have all of these entries in the blockchain, and the blockchain is just a database that is being passed around. So I hope you guys understand. To put it in another way, the coin is the native digital asset of a network, and this is what we see in the blockchain at the lowest level. And on top of that, we can build higher level digital assets. And so this is when we start talking about tokens. For example, the 10x token is built on top of the Ethereum blockchain. OMG is built on top of the Ethereum blockchain. And so these tokens, they are not defined at the lowest level in this data structure that is the database. These tokens are defined by the smart contracts running on Ethereum in this case. So we can write a smart contract, and this smart contract would define a token. And we've done this on this channel actually. So you just write a smart contract. This smart contract needs to be an ERC20 compliant contract. And once you have done that, it takes like 20 minutes. You have your own token and it is running on top of Ethereum. Now, I want to make it very clear that the distinction here is that tokens are defined by the smart contracts, while coin, for example, the Ethereum coin Ether, is defined by the protocol at a lower level. And this is the main difference between a coin and a token. As you mentioned, NEO has its own base digital asset, its own coin that is defined by the protocol, by the way nodes communicate with each other, and by the way they pass around this blockchain data structure. And on top of that, you can build other tokens such as Red Pulse. Bitcoin doesn't have any such tokens on top of it, because in order to build such a token, you need to have development tools. You need to give developers, programmers, a possibility to deploy their own tokens and to program their own tokens. And you also asked, what about IOTA and Ripple? So IOTA, as far as I know it, they are planning to build smart contract functionality into their blockchain. So we might see other tokens built on top of IOTA. And so this is the difference between tokens and coins. I hope that is very clear. We've also discussed the difference between protocols and blockchain. Basically that the protocols just use blockchain as the foundation, as the idea, as the blueprint in order to build the protocol. That the developers of Ethereum, they use the blockchain as the idea, and then on top of that idea they build the Ethereum protocol, and then you install this Ethereum protocol on many nodes and they start talking with each other. That is how it works. Because whenever you download the Ethereum client, you basically, your computer now knows the protocol and it can start talking with other nodes that are running the same software, and they know how to talk with each other. So this is the protocol. And on top of the protocol we have the coin. The protocol defines the coin by telling the nodes to pass around this blockchain data structure, and each entry in this data structure is basically how much coins each address has. And then on top of that we can build smart contracts if the platform allows us to. For example, Ethereum allows us to do it, NEO allows us to do it. And if we build special smart contracts that follow certain rules, we have tokens on top of that blockchain. Right, guys, I hope this cleared some question marks in in your head. I hope you understand a bit more about these differences, and I totally understand that this might sound confusing, but it really isn't. It really isn't. If you are a new viewer and you like blockchain, technology, cryptocurrencies, Ethereum, Bitcoin, blockchain, you should definitely subscribe to this channel, guys, because you will find this channel interesting. I myself am a software developer, and I'll see you guys next time.